Hey guys, so lately we've been getting a lot of updates with the Model 3 performance as it nears its production stages. There has been a lot more prototype sightings across the entire US, whereas before it was isolated to just a few streets in San Francisco. With everything that we know so far, we expect this to be one of the biggest upgrade to the Model 3 ever since it was launched. Going back to what the team has said, this performance model is going to be what it should have been from the very beginning. In terms of raw performance, we are looking at approximately 700 horsepower between the two motors. This number is taken directly from the Model S P100D and it is based off of the ludicrous performance. So very much so, the performance numbers, the 0 to 60s, is going to be on the same line. The only real difference here is that the Model 3 performance and its new motor is going to be able to accelerate from 0 all the way to its top speed without slowing down. Now of course, you're probably wondering where we even got the ludicrous Model 3 reference from. This has been leaked in Tesla's internal parts catalog. This indicated all the upcoming parts and even the badge that shows us what it's going to look like. In the weeks leading up to this point, we have been seeing a lot more prototypes giving us an indication of all the parts and components that will come with this car. Now we've also talked about the exterior and the interior changes with the new performance sport seats. This is going to change the way we view the performance model overall. As it sits right now, the performance model is just a slightly upgraded version of the long range with some exterior touches to make sure that everyone knows we have the top end model. Now overall, when looking at the performance model, the only few indicators you may see is the red calipers, the spoiler, and possibly even the underlined badge of the dual motor in the rear trunk. But if you quickly just glance over it, you are unable to tell if this is the top end trim or is it just the base model. But outside of that, it is extremely easy to replicate all the things that we see on the performance model as long as you're willing to put a little bit of extra work into it and some third-party accessories. But pushing all those aside, the biggest problem with the performance model is that it's not much quicker than the long range with acceleration boost. I've sat in the performance model and I've sat in the long range model with acceleration boost, and I can tell you that it is not much of a difference. The initial pull is where you're going to see most of the advantage, but after that, there is not enough performance to justify the cost of buying the performance model. In comparison, this is completely different than, say, the C400 versus a C63. That is night and day difference in terms of performance and looks. So purely down to these reasons, I have never had the lust to own the current generation Model 3 performance as much as I did with other performance vehicles. But guess what? That all changes for the performance Model 3 Highland. For the very first time ever, Tesla is going to be differentiating between the different types of trim coming from the interior to the exterior to the performance. This is going to be one of the biggest upgrades ever. Now, if you've been following my channel, you know that we've been going practically over every aspect of the performance Model 3, and some of the latest sightings gave us a good indication of what we should be expecting. The front bumper will now have air cutouts for additional cooling of the brakes. This is likely going to house the missing fog lights and bring the reflectors within the headlight housing down to the bumper. Additionally, there is going to be a new front splitter attached to the performance bumper. This is where you're going to see most of the difference from the front end. Now moving to the back of the car, you are also going to be seeing a new rear air diffuser. This is used for additional aerodynamics and airflow as you are going up to top speed. Then we have the new spoiler, which looks substantially larger and more pronounced than the ones that we currently have now. All of this added together is going to give you a much more aesthetically pleasing Model 3 performance, and it's going to be extremely distinguishable between any of the other trims. So as you can see, outside of just the badge and the red calipers, there is a lot more changes this time around, and not to say that they cannot be replicated, but it will take a lot more time and a lot more effort, and at that point you might as well just get the performance model. So now the most recent sighting that we have seen is a blue Tesla performance Model 3 sitting in the driveway without anyone there. There is a really good shot of this Model 3 performance, but unfortunately it is still covered up as it would be with every other car. Now if you weren't sure what you're looking for here, you would not know this is the performance model, but you can see here that it does have the spoiler, which is very pronounced, and looking down at its wheels, you can see that it is much larger than the ones that we have available now. Speaking of the 20-inch warp wheels, these are the ones that we've been talking about for the past couple months. I do have some videos very specific on that if if you guys want to check it out, I'll drop that in the description below. But these are going to be the set of wheels that we are going to be focusing on. The thing about these wheels are the covers covering up those beautiful rims, if they are eventually going to be part of the Aero caps. For months and months now, we have been seeing the original Model 3 Highland launch driving around the streets with these types of Aero caps, and eventually, before the unveiling, they removed them and we got to see those updated 18 and 19-inch wheels. So purely looking at that, Tesla doesn't seem like they care too much about hiding the type of wheels that are going on these cars. In the case of the Model 3 Performance, we can expect the very same treatment. Although these may seem like afterthought covers made simply just to hide the wheels, these may eventually end up being the new Aero caps. In all honesty, they don't look bad at all, and I would much appreciate it if Tesla gave us this as an option. And when those times that you do want to really get the longest range out of your charge, you can slap these on and get your 20 inches going really far. But of course, this may all just be a dream, and it could be just as it seemed, that these are simply just covers that are hiding the new warp wheels. Another point here to maybe back up my theory is that Tesla does have to test the estimated EPA range of the newer cars with the newer wheels. Leaving them on the prototype Model 3s are definitely going to skew the numbers up, and very similar to the original Model 3 launch, there is going to be a couple batches that do have them on, and then eventually batches that have them off. This will give them the most appropriate range estimate when the car does get revealed. So if all of this does end up being true, we will probably be seeing the warp wheels in all its glory, completely unmasked, in the next couple weeks right before the launch happens. Overall, very exciting stuff, and a lot of you guys are waiting out for the Performance Model 3. I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think of all this? Do you want the new Aero caps, or would you rather have it off of the car and not include it at all? I will continue to keep you as updated as possible on everything that happens with the Performance Model 3 and every other car, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, that bell notification, and follow me on Twitter or X at HeyJohnE. Over there you guys can DM me directly or just tweet me. That's the easiest way to communicate. But if you guys also want to support the channel, I do have a Patreon link which I will drop in the description below. Go check that out. This should wrap it up for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is John once again. Peace out.